financial concept called the Rule of 72. Now, the Rule of 72 is just a simple calculation that gives you the approximate number of years that it's going to take your money to double based on the interest rate that you have with your investment. The way it works is this. If you look over here, if you have a 4% interest rate, 4 goes into 72 18 times. So if you were to have $10,000 at a 4% interest rate with compound interest, you're going to have to wait 18 years for your money to double. I don't know about you, but I don't really have that many 18-year periods in my life to sit around and wait for my money to double. At 6%, your money's going to double about every 12 years, quite a bit better than 4%. But then ultimately, if you look over here at 12%, your money's going to double every 6 years. Quite a significant difference down here at the bottom. This person ended up with $640,000. Now, based on the Rule of 72, a one-time contribution of $10,000 will double 5 more times at 12% than it will at 3%. What we find is banks right now are giving people actually less than 4%. Most of the banks I've been looking at today give about 1%. Well, 1 goes into 72 times. So if you put $10,000 in at 1%, you're going to have to wait 72 years for your money to double. I don't know about you, but that's not something that I would be interested in. Ask yourself this. How many doubling periods do you have in your life? Here's another thing a lot of people don't realize. When you put your money into a bank savings account, they're giving you your 1%, or let's be generous here and say that they're going to give you 4%. But what the banks don't want you to know is what they're doing with your money. They're taking your money and investing it right over here, and they're getting a much higher return, closer to 12%. So they're more than happy to turn around and give you your measly 4% back. They're making a huge profit on your money. What I'd like to see you do is invest your money yourself into the market. Get that higher rate, get the 12%, and skip the bank. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to teach you some more financial concepts later.
See? You learn something good. Okay, good. The banks are nothing but a mediator for theft, or a mediation for theft and robbery. Okay, because when they borrow your money, they basically pays you the lowest interest rate possible, and that interest rate which they pay you, it's kind of a condition based on the Federal Reserve prime loan rate. So therefore, if the Feds raise rates, then the bank would also have to raise your rates by whatever the percentage point required, in order for them to pay you somewhat a little more. Right? But if the Federal Reserve happen to drop interest rates, and interest rate drop to say at 2%, then the bank's gonna pay you something like 1%. All right, and if you divide 1 into 72, you get back 72, and that would be 72 years for your money to double, or whatever the amount of money that you have in a bank. All right, so that is what the guy is telling you in the video. So it all makes sense for you to work out these things on a financial basis to know what the financial implication would be against you should you actually sign on the dotted line for borrowing. When you borrow, you put yourself an expense, basically put. All right. So that is what is going to happen. All right, you can look at this as well. $24,000. Let's say you have $24,750 in the bank, okay, and you apply the compound interest formula. All right, let's say you hit the enter key and you get $44,000, so on and so forth. It would take your pops about 10 years for not necessarily 10 years really, because really and truly, it will take your props up something like let's say the interest rate is 6%. 6 into 12 would give you something like 12,672. So basically, it would let me go back to this. Wait a minute, let me use this one. Let me see. That. Oh, sorry, it's a point. It's not supposed to be a point. It's supposed to be divide. That. All right. 12 years for your money to double if you put down 24,750 with a bank or something, but the bank is not paying you 12. The bank is not paying you 6%. The bank is paying you something like 2% today. All right, because they're probably making loans today for 3.5% or 4% because they have to charge an additional 1.5 markup on what the real prime loan rate is that the Federal Reserve allows them to borrow money from. So therefore they put a markup. Let's say they borrow money from the Feds, let's say at 3%. Or Feds drop the money to let's look at the let's, instead of talk and speculate, let's look at the Fed's fund rate. Let's look at it ourselves. Right, optimize this thing, and the persons can see what I'm doing. Alright, let's go on. That is Wikipedia. I don't want a Wikipedia. I want something more of Fed fund rate definition, historical graphs. Alright, let's also go for a historical graph and let us see what they have for the last year. That is if this site is made to alright, look. Alright, good. Alright, this is what they are now. We are in the month of May right now. So this is the rate which they have right now. Alright, they have basically put 0.25%. That's what they have right now. 0.25%. And the years 2012. Let me see if I can maximize it some more so person can see. Alright, so what the federal funds target rate is this. Alright, this is what it is right now. So basically put, if banks borrow money from them, let's say for 0.25%, this right here, the Fed refer to this right here as 25 basis point. Let's say if they raised, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna copy this entire thing here and paste it inside of Excel and do a little editing here and there with it, and I wanna show a person something. Oh, it's only one number copied. Alright, I can probably do what I'm gonna do here. Alright, if the Feds has something, what is anything that is after the decimal point, anything that is less than 1. Alright, so if you have 25 basis points, that means 0.25%, quarter of 1%. Alright, so if you have 50 basis point, that means it's half a percent, half of 1%. Alright, so a total of 100 basis points is equivalent to 1%. Okay. Alright, so therefore that is what the Fed mean when it says it has increased interest rate by 25 basis point, 50 basis point, 75 basis point. That the basis point meaning that it's a fraction of 1%. Alright, so that if you have one whole of 1%, it is equivalent to 100 basis point. Alright, so that's what they mean when they said they increase interest rate by this basis point or that amount of basis points. So that's what they mean. And you can look too. You can look at the historical rates at what the Feds were in 2002. Let's say let's say somewhere there in September in 2002, September there, the basis, the federal funds target rate was 1.75%. Alright, and they put it 2003, they lower it to 1%. In this time, the Federal Reserve basically is doing what you call a ease money basis. Alright, people can have access to money from the Feds, or the banks per se have access to money from the Feds at 1%.